Thanks for joining us, everyone. We're here to look at trends that lead into Q4, where we think Q4 can go and how to plan for it. My name is Daniel Owen. I'm EVP at Direct Agents.
Hi, I'm Emily Lee. I'm Senior Marketing Strategist here at DA.
Let's get started. So first, let's look back and look at some trends leading into Q4. All right, so one big thing just off the bat is May and June of this year already surpassed the average sales that we're seeing in 2019 of Q4. Pretty outstanding in terms of where we see sales going. July did take a dip, mostly because stores started opening back up. People were a little bit more comfortable, perhaps going back into retail stores. But we do see trends continuing into Q4 in terms of really outpacing anything we've seen in 2019. And continuing online sales. Amazon itself grew 40% year over year in Q2 as another call out. Walmart also grew 98% for its e-commerce sales, not with respect to their retail sales. So a lot of growth online and a lot of shifts in consumer behaviors that we're seeing leading into Q4 of this year. Across the board, when surveyed, adults are also really calling out that they're 75 to 80% positive of shopping in online this Q4 for their holiday shopping. I think the trend is now becoming a behavior, right? And really, really for most age groups, except for kind of the older ones here, you are going to have overwhelming shopping online, and that's where everyone's going to be doing their holiday shopping. Further accelerating this is the closure of your traditional Black Friday outlets, right? Walmart is closing, Target expects to be closing. They really don't feel it's safe with all the swarm of people, of course. And further adding to that is also the fact that Amazon is in talks with all the different malls to gobble up additional retail and distribution space, I should call it, to get their products for that last mile distribution. Really, amping up for what they expect to be likely one of the largest Q4s we've ever seen in history as well. Looking ahead, look back first to look ahead. In 2019, we can see what the biggest sales weeks were, and that's what this is showing on the right side of this graph. Cyber Week being that biggest bump there. What this does not show, though, is the fact that Prime Day was also moved, is expected at least to be moved into early October this year. So that is really going to start off Q4. We expect to start off holiday sales and really put basically everything into the digital sales bucket of 2020 Q4 this year. It really is going to be something that we have to start planning ahead of time. Consumers, and we'll have another graph to show for this, do expect to be shopping online earlier this year, and we do think the holiday season is going to start as early as Prime Day, if that happens the week. I believe it tentatively, what we're hearing is October 5th this year. So we do track also the top million terms on Amazon, top million search terms, and some data that we've seen this year is plainly spelled out in terms of people shopping earlier. Father's Day is on the left side here. This Father's Day data, 2019 versus 2020 data. And what we're seeing is that people are shopping 3 to 4 weeks earlier for these products, for whatever they're searching for. A lot of this behavior started because of the COVID delays in delivery, people not being able to get their products on time, also not being able to just shop in stores, right? So a lot of them have shifted that behavior online, and understanding that it does take, it could possibly take additional time to get those products to you. You can't just go in the store and pick it up a day out. On the right side, what we're seeing is for Halloween. So that, it's really early for Halloween, right? We're still in August, and we're already seeing sales, at least search interest, tick up by 3 times over the previous year. And that's where you're seeing those green bars over the previous year. So, people searching for things like costumes, decorations, already doing that now. And we do expect this trend to continue way into Q4. And of course, Prime Day, being the start of that as well. So another trend that we're seeing is the fact that mobility and shopping on mobile is likely the preferential way, right, of shopping today. It wasn't always like that, of course. Shopping kind of overtook desktop, just a few years back. But today, it really is even the primary way of preferential shopping for mobile devices. What we're seeing also is that obviously the younger age group are going to be a lot more preferential to this, but in few months of May, June, July, we also saw enormous downloads of shopping apps, right? And another trend that we're seeing in terms of just Amazon and Walmart sales being so high is because they have great mobile shopping experiences. So, what one thing that we're recommending is if either you should have a mobile app if you can. We understand not every retailer has one, especially in some of the smaller ones. It's definitely difficult. But if you don't, ensure your products are on platforms that do have great mobile experiences, right? The Walmarts of the world, the Amazons of the world. Google itself, in their search is also a great mobile experience, but it's just where you drive it to, right? So if it's driving a D2C, you're driving to a website, really take time to make sure that your website is primed for a mobile shopping experience as easy as possible, right? If it's just a responsive website, but if you can, start planning for even a mobile app. Maybe a little bit too late, but definitely a lot of positive benefits, right, to start developing mobile apps.
Yeah, so like you mentioned before, Daniel, more users are adopting mobile buying behavior, but that kind of lends itself to the mobile landscape becoming more and more fragmented. So because of that, it's now even more critical to have a data-driven approach to really understand who your audience is, and some of the key dimensions beyond just base level demographics. So for instance, things like what are their purchasing habits, what drives them, what are some of the important decision factors. So things like that really get to the heart of where we can reach them and how we can effectively speak to them. So once we have a better understanding of all those things, we can then define wherever they are on their path to purchase, what's their message or creative or concept that we need to address to drive them further down that journey and eventually convert them to a customer. Here at Direct Agents, we constantly perform deep audience analyses and really uncover untapped personas for our client brands, which then helps to better target our overall media strategy. And looking beyond persona level discovery, it's also important to keep track of industry trends. For instance, one of the macro trends we've seen is that more and more people are buying on mobile, and not just on mobile, but social as well. And we're especially seeing this in the younger generations. 66% of Gen Zers have said they've made a purchase through a social network. Of the total U.S. Social network users, that's 38%. And we're seeing that shift too with some of the new marketplaces that have opened up. Facebook Shops, for instance, launched early this year, which allows brands to have an online store across Facebook and Instagram. The platform also allows brands to directly message to consumers, track deliveries, ask questions, get support, which all really helps with the personalization aspect that might be lost with the digital experience. So, really brands who show up and are on these channels are better positioned to capture these mobile heavy users. And beyond just being on the right channels, it's also important to understand the formats we can reach these customers in. So with the pandemic, people are spending more and more time at home, and because of that, we're seeing the consumption of streaming on-demand content rise. So another area brands can reach customers is through CTV campaigns, especially as the capabilities and the attribution on CTV becomes more sophisticated. It's definitely something for brands to consider, not just to drive awareness and education of their product, but also as a conversion driving factor. Amazon video and search ads are also another area worth exploring. This is a new feature on Amazon that allows you to incorporate video into your sponsored brand campaigns, and there's an example there on the right. And it's not a fully adopted feature yet for brands, but so it's a great way to stand out and differentiate yourself in a crowded marketplace.
Yeah, with the absence of brick and mortar shopping experience removed really for a lot of Q4, that demand, that intent is really going to drive online. And your two major shopping destinations are going to be Amazon and Google, right? At least for searches. So it makes these platforms crucial. And we really want to take some time to spill out some of the different things to plan to have successful Q4s on both Amazon and Google. Starting with Amazon, really looking at inventory. Inventory is going to be key earlier on. They're limiting inventory in terms of FBA. So the idea is we may send more frequent inventory into Amazon, but really understanding what's going to sell, what's selling out, and being able to forecast that out ahead of time. Take this time to make sure all the product pages are up to date, right? Are optimized, have great images, have good call outs, great attributes, and take time to optimize them for rankings so that they start showing up even organically, right? You don't have to put every dollar into ads to try to make some sales. Really take that organic presence and optimize that to the maximum. FBM is a good option to have also going into Q4. We've seen the issues with FBA, with Amazon shipping during the height of COVID. And for Q4, being as big as it will be online, we don't really know how FedEx, UPS, or even Amazon is going to hold up during these times. So there could be some capacity issues, there could be some breakages, and having FBM on top of FBA, or even if you're a vendor, will allow for different options, right? Allow you to kind of be there in the market, be there for the consumers, and take advantage of that when other retailers cannot. Other than that, just develop the ad campaigns early, right? Start this using this time to develop the campaigns, test, get your ROAS and ACoS in order, and understanding exactly where you need to be in for what different types of keywords or what type of product targeting. Google, on the other hand, has been doing a lot in terms of trying to keep up with Amazon product searches and really becoming a shopping awareness destination. They're a search destination, but they've kind of lost a lot of that shopping arm to Amazon over the years. So they've, in April, really opened up organic shopping to everyone for free. And that's where we're seeing a lot of pickup for our clients, and just a lot of extended growth. And Q4 is going to accelerate that even more. So it's really important today to make sure that your feed is optimized, your feed is good to go for organic listings on Google Shopping, and then of course that you're ranking, that you start to rank for terms, or rank for more and more product. You're showing a lot more of your products on Google Organic Shopping. And taking that time, right, to make sure you have that, employ that feedback loop, so that by the time Q4 rolls around, your product's on prime placement on Google Shopping, organic, paid as well, of course, but everywhere that your consumers are going to be. Start developing those paid campaigns today as well. Get as much impression share as you can today, so that when Q4 does roll around, it just becomes kind of a bid and budget tick for you, right? Just open up that floodgate and allow to spend during those heightened weeks that we expect consumers to be shopping.
Yeah, and there's also some really important things brands can do too to increase their likelihood of winning sales beyond the paid media intervention and the search platforms that you had just mentioned, Daniel. Flexibility and dependability are also really key conversion motivators. And what we really mean by that is flexibility in how consumers are able to shop on the site, and also how reliable your service and your inventory is. If you're only available on your D2C site, you're missing out on shoppers who only shop on Amazon, for instance, or other marketplaces. So you really want to cast a wide net, to reach these users. The more you can do to meet them where they want to shop, the better likelihood you have of winning a sale. Looking at the recent surges in search terms for buy online, pick up in store options, we have a good sense of, this is a new way people want to shop. And if brands can accommodate that, they stand to gain a lot of the market share over their competitors. In terms of dependability, consumers also want to know how dependable is the inventory. Will they get it on time? Will it be shipped on time? And how optimized is the digital experience? If people are waiting for a site to load for 20 seconds, that might be a lost opportunity to capture a sale. So, establishing a variety of ways to shop and also securing trust in your site and in your shipping will be critical, not just for this season, but just for Q4 and beyond, especially with the lasting implications brought on by the pandemic. Transparency is also key to incorporating your messaging strategy. Consumers want to know what's the positive impact your brand is making. Especially now, people have taken notice on how brands have responded to the pandemic, and also like the social and political issues that are happening now. So it's especially important because more and more we're seeing that consumers, they are buying based off their values and what's important to them. So messaging gives us a really rich area to play and be able to express that. Having the right tone, one that's a delicate balance of informative but also empathetic, will help brands resonate with the consumers, and one that's hopefully in an authentic and personal way. And promotions and discounts are also going to be huge for consumers this year, especially just given the economic challenges that a lot of people are facing. So incorporating promotional strategies will be really key just to unlock more sales, but it has to be done at the right time and in the right way, so as not to kind of hurt your margins. A lot of times we see a lot of brands coming in too early and too big with a sale, and they're capturing these high intent users who are already planning on making a purchase at a higher price point. So brands need to think about targeting different levels of customers at different stages and at varying degrees of promotions. And then, looking ahead beyond December, the holiday season continues even after Christmas into the new year. So individuals, make personal investments and look to start new hobbies, new habits, and we see that in the consumer demand post-Christmas, where people are shopping for the betterment of themselves. I myself like to buy like health and fitness products right after holidays. So for brands, it's a perfect time to not pull back in media investments and think about a New Year's strategy to capture users who are still spending, especially on things like skincare, hair care, and cosmetics. So just to recap all the points we've touched upon today, we can really answer what does this look like for your brand and practice as we're planning for the months ahead. So on the next slide, we put together this timeline to map out key things brands need to implement, especially since September is only a few weeks away. So for early fall, it's really the time for brands to focus on things like product awareness, making sure your product feeds are optimized in a cohesive way, planning out those holiday promotions and finalizing your ad budgets. And then by the time October, November rolls around, we should start to think about ramping up your conversion campaigns, introducing more direct holiday messaging, and launching and optimizing shopping event campaigns that Daniel, you had touched upon earlier. And then as we get to December, just identifying the top performing creative and highlighting the top products that is resonating with your audience, and also introducing last chance or urgency driving messages, towards those top products, just to capture those last minute shoppers. Yeah, so again, just to recap, with all the information and the macro trends you've seen from 2019 and from earlier this year, we know a few things. We know consumers are shopping earlier. We know that e-commerce, specifically on mobile, will increase dramatically. And we know that consumers want brands who are flexible in terms of their shopping, and also care about the social impact and transparency that they tout. So all of this really boils up to how will this influence our paid media decisions in terms of where we're putting our ad budget to, when are we starting to reach consumers, and how are we authentically and effectively speaking to them. And I think the brands who are able to address all of these factors and implement them successfully will be the brands who will be set up for success this holiday season.
Cool.
Awesome. I know that's a ton of information, so if there are any questions, feel free to direct them at the email address right there, marketing@directagents.com.